The media, a single monolithic entity. Media is plural for medium and refers to the multiplicity of publications and broadcast outlets, like radio, television, magazine, cinema, newspaper, and the World Wide Web. In the past, naturally, due to racism, blacks weren't allowed to broadcast their views over radio networks. As time progressed, they got the chance to spread their own voice and give their own views. Since the time of 1948, when the first black formatted radio station was formed, we have taken great leaps. Now that we had a chance to broadcast our own views, we can now affect change in our communities. Today, with nearly 94% of black consumers ages 12 and older listening to the radio and its ability to reach them at almost any given location, this form of media has definitely influenced how we see the world, not only for blacks but for all races. Blacks in cinema also have very humble beginnings. In early days of film, while black actors were few, they were threatened and beaten if they attempted to take any kind of roles besides the maid, butler, waiter, or even waitress. Due to this discrimination, stereotypes began to form, causing Americans to have a certain view about blacks and where they stood in society. One way media was an educator. Of course, as time progressed, we began to earn more rights. One of the most influential actors was Sidney Poitier, winning an Oscar, and Lilies of the Field. Hattie McDaniel was also one of the first blacks to win an Oscar. Even though we were rising in status, in the roles of these movies, they were still being placed in stereotypical positions. Shaft, Blackula, and Cleopatra Jones created a new era for black films. While the past was very stereotypical, new and respectable films came about through Spike Lee. These films gave African Americans a new face in the media. Then TV came about and played a big role. TV, being a main source of media, has built many stereotypes among the black culture, forming a wide range of different Americans' views. Most shows before the 60s were built around stereotypes. It wasn't until the Julius show that some of reality was actually being shown on TV. In the 70s, blacks began to be shown in a truly new light, where the American dream is sold. It has also shown that status and happiness is predicted by how much we have. It was rare that these shows actually truly shed light on what a true family was like. Are we still in stereotypical bondage? Or have we broken free yet? The A-Team reestablished all these stereotypes that people felt were long gone. Though in the Bill Cosby show, blacks are shown in a very different light, successful and middle class. In the 90s, there was a great lack of minority writers, so a new stereotype of the ghetto Negro came into play on the TV screen. Ultimately creating new stereotypical norms about the urban African American. Watching TV shows, whether they be funny, sad, or even educational, we walk away with some kind of information. This information ultimately influences how we see the world around us, whether we recognize it or not. What have you walked away with over the time that you've watched TV? Magazines are also a big part of our culture and play a big role in our society and what we view as important. Today, we have over 21 nationwide well-known magazines platform on African American culture and news. Some of the more well-known are Jet, Today's Black Women, Sister to Sister, XXL, Smooth, Essence, and Ebony. Most of these magazines are geared towards the urban African American, meaning provocative women, clothes, and rappers being the top subject. African Americans have had the ability to express their views through press for quite some time. Samuel Cornish and John B. Russwurm started the first African American periodical called Freedom's Journal. They created this periodical before the Civil War. Soon after, African Americans left the fields and enslavement and went to urban cities, newspapers developed to show the black perspective, like Chicago Defenders, Detroit Tribune, the Pittsburgh Courier, the New York Amsterdam News, and the Richmond Planet. In the past, those newspapers were for profit, but today, African American newspapers are for the upliftment and broadening of horizons in black communities and the spreading of the black perspective. Critical race theory says that, first of all, we are only looking at one aspect of the media, and the information from that aspect making it our focus. From the point of view of the psychologist, we are no longer regarding individuals as individuals. We group and clump people together and ideas about those people, which is how stereotypes are formed, and what critical race theory says we all do. In today's media, there's a wide range of views broadcasted about African Americans, so there really is no lack of representation, but a lack of educated focus on our part as viewers and consumers. We want everything that is said about us to tell of the best and highest and noblest in us. We insist that our art and propaganda be one. We fear that the evil in us will be called racial, while in others it is viewed as individual. We fear that our shortcomings are not merely human, but foreshadowings and threatenings of disaster and failure. W.E.B. Du Bois.